Good day, everyone. My name is Marfa Batayo, and together with me is no other than Miss Esther Escozar. Today, we are going to discuss to you our topic, which is the covered stages of moral development. But before we proceed to the discussion, allow me first to read our objective for today's lesson. At the end of the lesson, the students will be able to explain the stages of moral development, analyze a person's level of moral reasoning based on his responses to moral dilemmas, and cite how the theory of moral development can be applied to work.
Kohlberg's theory of moral development is a theory that focuses on how a children develop morality and moral reasoning. Since we already know our topic for today, which is Kohlberg's theory of moral development, from the word moral, it talks about the morality of a children or an adult. When we heard about the morality, we always think about right and wrong because morality is a principle that is concerned between right and wrong or good and bad behavior of a person, particularly sa mga bata. So this is what we are going to tackle this morning.
Lawrence Cobbage is an American psychologist who is known for his study of moral development in children. Cobbage's study of moral development concludes that there are three separate phases of moral development: the pre-conventional, conventional, and post-conventional. So, Lawrence Cobbage is the one who proposed, or siya ang proponent of this moral development. His study is all about the moral development of a children. Lawrence Cobbage was really interested in reasoning processes that involved in decision making. That is why he come up or developed this theory of moral development. He also stated here that there are three phases of moral development, namely the pre-conventional, conventional, and post-conventional. But we are going to discuss that later on. Lawrence Cobbage built on Piaget's work and set the groundwork for the present debate within psychology on moral development. Like Piaget, he believed that children form ways of thinking through their experiences, which include understanding of moral concepts such as justice, rights, equality, and human welfare. Cobbage followed the development of Piaget and found that the process of attaining moral maturity took longer and occurred slower than Piaget had thought. Lawrence Cobbage agreed with Piaget's story of moral development in principle, but he wanted to develop his ideas further. So, iyang gigamit ang kang Piaget storytelling technique to tell people as stories involving moral dilemmas. Kung moingon ganitag moral dilemma, it is a fictional story where someone is faced with a situation in which they must make a difficult moral decision. So in this case, he presented a choice to be considered. For example, is the story of Heinz dilemma. I know kahibaw na mo ani nga story. It talks about a man who has a wife and his wife is on her deathbed or kamatyo na, and she needs an expensive drug to survive that they cannot afford. So, mauna siya ang story about Heinz dilemma. So, after presenting people this story with various moral dilemma, Cobbage asked a series of questions.
And now let us proceed to the three levels and age stages of Kohlberg's theory and moral development. So the first is pre-conventional level. It is moral reasoning is based on the consequence or result of the act, not on the whether the act itself is good or bad. It is commonly seen in a child and also adult exhibit this kind of moral reasoning. This is what we call direct consequence because they will not think that the things they do is good. So let us now proceed to the stages. So the first stage is punishment or obedience. So one is motivated by fear of punishment. He will act in order to avoid punishment. So for example of this is the child is in a circle of groups of her friends. Kay nanguha siya sa kadwaan which is dili iyaha. So niuli siya sa balay and then ihang mama is nakitaan ang katungtoy nga dili iyaha. So giinan siya sa ihang mama nga dili ni mao ang imong gibuhat kaning butanga is makakos ni siya og away and dako ni siya og sala. So ang bata kay maglikay na siya nga dili siya makasala kay para dili siya makasab-an sa ihang mama or mabunalan because it is kind of discipline nga ang bata magdako nga kaning respetado og kaning gani naay kahadlok. So muna siya gitawag og punishment, maglikay na siya sa sunod nga di na siya manguhaan ng usa ka butang nga dili iyaha. So that is called punishment or obedience. And the second stage is mutual benefit. One is motivated to act by the benefit that one may obtain later. So example is this is you scratch my back and I will scratch yours. So these stages is kaning they will not think deeply gani kung unsay sud siyang hunahuna kung gikurit ko kuriton po nako siya balik muna siya gitawag og mutual benefit.
So the second level of coverage moral development is the conventional level. When we say conventional level, it is a moral reasoning that is based on the convention or norms of society. This may include approval of others and law of orders. There are two stages in conventional level: the social approval and the law of order. Social approval. One is motivated by what others expect in behavior. Good boy, good girl. The person acts because he or she values how he or she will appear to others. So in conventional level, it talks about the acceptance of society's convention concerning right this stage and wrong. Shows at this the level, good behavior an of individual obeys for rules example, and follows society's norms even when there are no consequences for obedience or good girl ana mo baby oy kabantay mo nga murag mugara ganahan na lang pud noon sila mo manilhig kung i-compliment. It is because they give importance on what people will think or say about them. So again, social approval is about good behavior of a children. Okay, next stage is law and order. One is motivated to act in order to uphold law and order. The person will follow the law because it is the law. So this stage shows the moral development of a person as a part of a whole society. For example, you decided nga mangawat, but wala nimo gidayon because it is against the law. Meaning, rules and regulations are need to be followed. Imong gi-consider ang law before ka mobuhat anang butanga because again, law is law and it should be followed.
So the last level is post-conventional level. It is a moral reasoning is based on enduring or consistent principles. It is not just recognizing the law, but the principle behind the law, which means that you fight for your own principles, consistent principles nga imong gilabanan nga mooy sakto, even though there is a law nga dili maayo. So, now let us proceed to stages of post-conventional level. So, the first is social contract. It is laws that are wrong can be changed. One will act based on social justice and common good. So for example for this is kaning daghan ang nanginhanglan og pagkaon. So nanguha ka og pagkaon, nangawat ka para ipakaon nila. Kibaw kang sayo pero ang imong goal is tabangan sila nga makakaon dili sila mag-suffers again starving. Muna imong prinsipyo nga gisunod even though sa law dili na siya maayo. Muna siya gitawag og social contract. So let us now proceed to the second stages which is universal principles. So this is associated with the development of one's conscience, having a set of standards that drives one to possess moral responsibility to make societal changes regardless of consequences to oneself. Example is this is Mother Teresa, Martin Luther King Jr. and Andres Bonifacio, because they create a principles that fight against the law nga kaning, which is they think nga makaayo o makatabang sa usa ka tawo. Mo na gitawag siya og universal principles, kay as a whole naman siya, as a whole principles they fight for us. So that's it